What's up, everybody? Welcome to another great show. You know what? Let's deformalize this one because this is a little bit of a change. It's Geeks Without Borders. We're back, but we're a little different. It's been several months. A lot has happened. A lot of things going through. Lost a host, but hey, some things are going to be making their adjustments as time goes on. Rugby kicks up, kicks down, but we're going through. It's still here. My name is Gift Egbelu, and of course, I'm here with JP Finity, JP the Toy Man, Mateo. Man, what has been good with you, brother? It's been some time.
Yeah, I know. I'm missing Jason, but life goes on. I'm sure he's doing well with whatever he's doing now. And I'm looking forward to bringing people in and talking geek stuff.
Yes, indeed.
And during that time, we've been on hiatus. So many stuff,
Yeah, a
so
lot
many
has
things
gone
have
through.
come out. Trailers, movies, and we still have to talk about those things.
Yeah, I mean, some of these I don't think will be like, Shazam. I don't think there's really too much to talk about on that one. It came, it passed, and it will not be returning back.
I'll be
Um,
honest, I didn't watch it.
Neither did I. Hence why I came and passed, and we won't be going back. I mean, eventually, I think it's supposed to be on HBO Max, maybe already, but it's definitely not something that is on the even lowest of the low priorities to add in there. But you had some other things. Um, Man, you know what? It's gone through. Oh my goodness, how could I forget? Most importantly, like just even recently, Power Rangers, once and always. I got words on that one. I probably should have talked about that one before, but yeah, that stuff like that,
Yeah,
stuff like that. We can
it's
talk
on
about that.
Netflix. I
It is
just
on
saw it
Netflix.
on Netflix, and I'm about to see it with my kids
It'll be
after
good. It'll
this.
be good to watch with the kids. It's really good to
Yeah,
watch with the kids, man. It was a good nostalgia. But we can talk about that after you go watch it. You go watch
yeah,
it, and we'll talk about it because this is
yeah.
this is in the realm that I need to at least have. Um, but in the meantime, I think we can focus in on something that's a little bit more recent. But I mean, again, that's so many things. But I think the biggest things that are in conversation right now are on two sides of controversy. You have Ezra Miller and the Flash movie that's coming out. I've literally never heard a movie that has so much hype behind it and no hate going into it outside the actor themselves. And then, of course, we just concluded The Mandalorian last week, which has been a controversial kind of show this year based off of what people feel the quality and so with it. So I think kind of starting off, let's start with the Flash. It's a little bit shorter, a little less information, but
Yep.
so much heaviness that goes behind it. So starting off the Flash trailer, JP, man, what was your first thoughts when you saw the trailer?
Um, I still can't stop myself getting distracted about Ezra Miller being a dick.
Yeah.
Sorry. you know, um, and like with all the stuff that's going on with DC, it's really getting hard for me to like really get into the hype.
Right.
It's so confusing. I was actually rooting for Shazam, except all these things are happening, and then The Rock, refusing to do a cameo. Like,
Yeah.
I'm starting to hate The Rock. He's ruined.
Everyone, everybody lives long enough to be the hero. Everybody is able to be the hero until they live long enough to become the villain.
Yeah, yeah. You know, um, all these things are distracting. Like from a great great movies. Like Shazam could have been good, except I think people are just didn't want to bother with it because they don't know what's gonna happen with DC. So the same with the Flash. Though there's buzz, I don't think people are that hyped for it. except for like seeing Michael Keaton as Batman again, and that's what I guess everybody's just looking forward to. It's not the Flash, it's Batman.
I don't know, man. I think from what I'm hearing around, I feel like it's the opposite. I mean, I think everybody, to be honest, I think everybody's actually very hyped for the Flash, as this has been dubbed as maybe arguably one of the best superhero movies made. Where it's within the multiversal guys. So we've seen multiversal movies from Spider-Man, No Way Home to
Doctor
um,
Strange.
Doctor Strange to some level. I don't think Doctor Strange had as high as one, but it came in, and even non-Marvel ones like Everything Everywhere All at Once, another multiversal movie. So I think this element has a lot of weight that is capable behind it. With the Flash movie specifically, I think everybody talked about the cameos, but I genuinely have heard that from the people who have viewed it in the early screenings, they've legitimately just said this movie is spectacular, and the drawback is that we have to, like, how do we reconcile it with Ezra Miller's behavior? Like, we can't basically movie wash his behavior away
Yeah,
in almost an opposite fashion that we're getting with Jonathan Majors, where he had all this great movie, and then uh, this controversial situation, these allegations occur, and then now this guy's maybe career is disappearing, whereas Ezra Miller is basically getting the benefit of having done all the bad stuff, but now now they're in a position to maybe rectify their career because their movie came out later than them keeping people hostage or kidnapped or anything like that. So, like, the way that this movie's setting up, and looking at the trailer, I can get it. My bigger worry is that they try and bring back the any version of the Zack Snyder verse into it. I mean, I know James Gunn is the leading man in this one, but if the Flash movie does well, and then now even hearing that with Aquaman, Amber Heard is still on the docket for Aquaman. So it's just like, if those two movies do really well and actually are really good movies, like, what does it say to one, the characters of two actors that have been just the worst and should not be working in Hollywood anymore? They do not deserve the privilege. But also to the stylization that we had so many issues with for basically what 2013 until 2021, and then two movies to basically rise that back together. It's hard to really fully take it, but from the trailer itself, I am excited. I love the fact of being able to see Ben Affleck and his Batman be there one last time. I love bringing Michael Keaton back. He looked amazing whenever we were doing that role. His scenes. The Flash looks competent, and it looks like we're getting that nice little bit of controversy underlying. Of course, we're looking for Eobard Thawne involved in there, and maybe it becomes duplicate flashes happening simultaneously. There's even a known Gal Gadot cameo, even though they said they had taken Wonder Woman out of it. So it adds a lot of tidbits to it, though I'm now, with all the cameos, a little bit more sad about Henry Cavill not being in
yeah,
it at all. But I'm hoping that they're going to give us a surprise on that one in the back end. But
yeah. Same here. Same here. Like, uh, I think Cavill is one of the best one of the best Superman in ever. He's perfect. He's like
I,
RDJ for
I,
Iron Man.
it's hard for me to give him the best, I guess, because I mean, there's not really a slew of options, but I don't feel like he's gotten a chance to actually be Superman. He looks Superman. I'm not gonna lie, he feels Superman in the small bits and pieces that we've got from him, but I just haven't gotten full Superman. It's always like they just held him back. Zack Snyder doesn't like, Superman. So we've never gotten the full impact of what a legit Superman can be through this.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. We never. gotten enough. It wasn't enough, and
Yeah,
it was just pulled away. So I don't know. Yeah, people are getting hyped, especially now they've like released merchandise out in the toy stores.
right.
So people are also like, giddy.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know exactly what to expect from this. Like I am excited to see this movie, and I'm excited for it to come out. Um, this is gonna be man, this is gonna be a game changer summer, I believe, when it comes to the hero space, because I think we're starting to see our heaviest movies, Guardian of the Galaxy, kicking it off May 5th, and then I think the Flash comes May 27th. Um, you know, and then obviously Star Wars, we got Ahsoka and all that. And so like there's a big like 2017 kind of feel that we're getting to this summer that I'm just like, all right, man, like if you can't win, this is the one that you get to really establish yourself. So whether it's Warner Brothers, Discovery, or Disney kind of finding its pathway again for the general audience. For me, I don't think they've ever lost it. These movies like The Flash, I think, are going to be setting these stake poles, so these tent poles. So I don't know. It's interesting, but the Flash trailer itself, man, it just looks spectacular. But it's just, man, there's so much around this movie. Like it's so
Yeah,
much.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Exactly. Like the trailer's great, except there's so many issues distracting us from how great this could be.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, Ezra Miller should shape up, man.
No, he needs to be out of Hollywood. I don't care what he does with his life afterwards. He just should not be allowed to make millions from doing privileged work after being a complete and total nut job. I don't care what about mental health, man. Mental health doesn't mean consequence free. Especially
Yeah,
if
but what?
Jonathan Majors is about to go down. All right. I need balance to the force. Mandalorian. All right. Yo, season's over. This is what, season 3? This has been an interesting setup. We can see that Disney has made an active process of trying to retcon basically all their movies to make sense.
Yeah,
Oh, coming off
you know,
this one, general thoughts on what this season of The Mandalorian before going into detail.
I don't care about like how people saying, "Oh, it's gone down in quality and this and that." All these, you know, it was a great season. It was a good season. I think a lot of the hate comes from people who had theories like or expectations and didn't get them.
Yeah,
People should just start learning to drop their expectations and baggage and just go watch it and enjoy it. And if it wasn't good, then that's when they start saying, a lot of these YouTube channels, like some of them are theories and spies and whatever. But I loved it. But there's one thing I hate about this season though:
mm.
them killing off this guy.
I mean, at least he went down in epic fashion.
Yeah, like a proper warrior. But I'm just thinking, what's gonna happen to his son?
I mean, hey, he's already been moved up. You saw him at the end. He's now moved into being a storied Mandalorian, being part of the story now. So it's setting up that next generation.
Yeah,
Well, for me, it was. I thought this season was interesting. I thought it was interesting the way they did it because it was what they did with Boba Fett, but it felt better. Like it was
yeah,
felt consistent with the new story. So what you had with Boba Fett, where we cut into Mandalorian 2.5, and it was just
and
kind of like a whole segmentation. Say what?
and also Ahsoka. They it
Yeah,
was like
it was
introducing.
the total combo. Start prepping for your spin-offs. And it felt like it detracted, even though Mando became a component of Boba Fett. But it felt like it was a complete segmentation from the total storyline. Whereas in this one, when we get those cut movements where we talked about the cloning guy, and we talked about oh shoot, who was the other cut story that we had? Um,
The spy.
the yes, right. Uh, no, not her, not her, not her. We had the cloning guy, and then we had one more a story. I think. Oh, whenever we were when they were talking more, was it? Were they talking more about? Wait, was it the spy? The spy's the
Yeah.
one that's with Moff Gideon. I'm not talking about
Yep.
her. We didn't have a full storyline that was focused on her because that was her including with the clone guy. We had
Yeah.
um man, I can't remember what the second one was, but I like those ones because they drove the overall storyline. Oh, I remember. It was with the Star Wing. Whenever we were doing with the dude with the beard, the X-wing
Him.
captain.
Yeah.
So
From no from
it,
from the grocery.
yeah. Oh,
Jim's Convenience.
from
Opa.
the show with in Canada
Yeah.
that Sima Lu came from. Names Grocer. I can't remember the name. I know exactly. Yes, with him. So with those stories, they added to the bit of what we were trying to get to, and it's also what I called part of the retcon to establish the new order for episode 9, 10, and 11 to be being 8, 9, 10. 789. I'm sorry. Episode 789. It created the retcon to make those more established. So we established the cloning so that Palpatine can make sense to existing. We
Yeah.
established the seeds that started the new order so that we get what created episode 7 coming through. And then obviously I think a lot of those connections came from Rebels
Yeah.
and Bad Batch as well. But now we're seeing them segmented into the live action as well. So with that in consideration, I know a lot of people didn't like this season because this season wasn't just Mando and Grogu going on adventures to something. Like it felt like we were finally going in a direction. You know, with what's her name, Boba, uh,
Bo
uh,
Katan.
Bo-Katan, trying to establish herself as the leader of Mandalorians, and the space Mandalorians. Okay, I guess the bounty hunter Mandalorians versus the space bounty hunter Mandalorians coming
Night
together.
Owls versus Death Watch.
Yeah, there we go. What was it? Ground versus Death Watch? You said?
Night Owls.
Oh yes, Night Owls. Yeah, Night Owls versus Death Watch. Finding their way back to Mandalore and getting a little bit more understanding into the power and significance of the Mandalorians. Because I was still trying to figure out, like, are they a powerful culture, race, whatever? Because they're like stormtroopers to some extent. They just bring people in. So it's like they don't have their own establishment. It's just a religious order through this mythical creature that clearly still exists on Mandalore. And then seeing the development of things in the Outer Rim since the demolishment of the Empire and now the new rise of the New Order. So, like, I thought we got a much fuller story, even though we got less Mandalorian, less Mando and Grogu. But I also feel like we got a better growth of where Grogu is going too,
Yeah.
because I feel like they're all setting this up to bring him back for episodes 10 through 12. You know,
That
like
makes sense. That makes sense. I actually saw a meme Like it wasn't Anakin that was supposed to bring balance to the Force. It was Grogu. I think they're retconning everything.
They might be. I think that might be a stretch because I think we technically like. I think it was already shown. Anakin did bring balance to the Force. It just wasn't the balance of just a Jedi. In fact, it wasn't even Anakin. It was Luke because
Yeah,
The Anakin brought down the Jedi Order to balance out with the Sith. The Sith started rising up. Luke came through and sliced down the Jedi Order, sliced down the Sith Order, but never rose back up the Jedi Order, as we saw in effect in episode
the
7,
next.
8, and 9. And then
Yeah,
all what we get then in the end is a 1-to-1 ratio of Rey to
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren. Exactly. So I think it still went into that connection. I think now Grogu, I'm hoping that 10, 11, 12 that they, are speaking that they're supposed to do, where I think Lord and Miller are supposed to do one part and they have better organization with it. But it now feels like maybe there's a chance that we do not connect with the Skywalkers anymore,
Yes,
which
yes,
I'm glad we've seen the pieces of disconnecting from the Skywalkers in the
yeah.
show.
But we've seen, like, it's on the internet. Like, there's a pregnant Ray doing
Mhm.
work.
Yeah,
So,
but Rey's not a Skywalker. She's a Palpatine.
or
I don't
she
care
could
what you
be a
said at the
Gideon,
end. Say
or could
what?
she, or she can be a Gideon.
Yeah. Oh, whatever it is, like it needs. We have seen now that Star Wars without powers absolutely works.
Yes,
Absolutely works.
yes,
And Star Wars can still be big with also showing sprinkles of it without it having to be purely the Jedi and the Sith. Though those two elements do play into the larger force. But more importantly, we don't have to have the Skywalkers be a part of everything. Like the family can come to its steady end or
I
so.
think it really is. I think the age of Mandalorians as like the middle peak,
Yeah,
in the animated series and in
yeah,
comics. They're like a third corner of a triangle in this Star Wars universe,
right.
and I think that's great because it's you just don't have clear cut good and bad. You just have this
There's
triangle.
always a line. Yeah.
Yeah,
Someone drawn up on the line. And yeah, I like I'm hoping that's what they do. I'm interested to see what they do with the Ahsoka series because obviously that brings us back into the full realm of going into the Jedi life again and getting those powers back, which again, I'm not against them. I just didn't like the dependency that it was being had on them uh,
yeah,
to make any storyline go. And it just wasn't necessary. But I don't know. I'm hoping that with that, and then with not Rebel Alliance, X X the X-wing police people. I forgot what the name is supposed to be.
the yeah, yeah, the rogue wing or
Rogue,
something
yeah,
command.
Rogue Alliance, I don't remember. But like to do that now, it kind of creates a much fuller story that I think people will be more connected with. Because I will say the only part of this new Star Wars rise that I've not been too big a fan of is the fact that you needed to see the animated shows. And at the time when those animated
Yeah,
shows came out, they were kind of like they were throw. It wasn't throw offs, but they were not built to attract all audiences from the movies into the
yeah,
show. The shows just happened to end up being quite amazing in creating and filling in storylines. But without you knowing those shows, a lot of characters are popping up that would be are regulars in the show, but you never had any connection into live action. So I'm hoping that the more live action that we do, the less reliant that we need to be on the shows to
Yeah,
be established with a good number of those characters.
exactly how I feel. Like I'm trying to rewatch Clone Wars, at least the last season, so I
Yeah,
can get to Rebels and Bad Batch. And honestly, you know, it's too tiring. It's too
it's a lot.
much.
It's a
It's too
lot.
much content. Yeah, they've got to find a way to you know do something about that. I don't know how, but that's too much content, and it's confusing between animated and live action, and
Yeah, that's where the issue I come in with is like, look, the animated. I love animated shows. Don't get me wrong, but I also understand that there's a very specific audience that goes along with that. Versus what you take from the live action one, which I will always feel establishes more of the real story, even though the animated ones are that. It's the same with like putting in the video games. Like if you add people from the video games into the movies, it's great, but you're talking about a a piece of a percentage of the viewing population that has any connection to that.
yeah,
So if you're not establishing something that directly connects me into that, like I'm not about to go play any of those video games that I hadn't done before. You know,
mhm,
as awesome as they are, I just don't have time for video games in my life like that. You know?
yeah, exactly. I think it's a good thing the shows are actually good.
Yes.
Otherwise, they would be alienating um, a segment of the audience who haven't watched the animated series,
Yeah.
like me. Like I
Yeah.
didn't really watch the animated
Yeah,
series.
I mean, same. Look, whenever you reference back to Clone Wars, I remember. I think I watched maybe the first 2 or 3 seasons of Clone Wars, but at the time, Clone Wars was on I think Nickelodeon for us, and I didn't watch Nickelodeon. I didn't have cable, so there was never any reason for me to watch it at the time. Or maybe Clone Wars was on Disney, or maybe
No,
it was on
it
ABC
was on
Family.
no, it was on Nickelodeon. I
It was
remember.
Nickelodeon, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it was on Nickelodeon. I didn't have it. The only I barely even watched Power Rangers because of whenever it came onto Nickelodeon, let alone the Star Wars stuff. Because again, you didn't expect it to be serious stories going through, and then let alone its direct connection. I'm glad they didn't waste that watch time by completely separating them. It just makes it hard to catch on to new characters, especially whenever they're not given great backgrounds because they were based on stuff that the animated series already provided.
That's the thing. Like people usually expect like animated stuff to be separate from live action,
Yeah,
like with the DC animated stuff, like Teen
right.
Titans or
Exactly.
Teen Titans Go. It's for a lot of people they'd be expecting it to be a separate universe altogether. Even with
Yeah,
Marvel, like the animated stuff in Marvel, they're separated from the MCU,
you're right.
like stuff you see on Disney Plus, and it's really hard for people like me and for people like us who didn't get really get into the shows years
Years
ago,
back, right.
years ago, especially when it was on Nickelodeon. Where sorry to say, you don't really take Nickelodeon shows seriously, right?
Exactly. 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 And so that's been just the sole issue that I've had. But like I said, I'm glad that they're bringing people in. Like there's been so much talk about Thawne coming in. I still don't fully know why Thawne is such a huge deal, but mainly because I haven't watched Rebels. And I honestly I tried to watch Rebels. I didn't really like the animation style for Rebels for my taste. You know, Clone Wars, I got to an extent, but Rebels was a little bit more unserious looking, was a little bit more kiddish looking in its animation style than I felt like Clone Wars. So it's harder for me to get into that one. If they did it like they did with um what was the miniseries that Star Wars had that was animated?
Visions,
What was it?
Star Wars Visions, like the what if
Yes,
of Star Wars.
exactly. If we
Star Wars
started getting
Visions.
into something like that, where it was
Yeah,
like we got this one off, it gives a tight story, even if it's episodic, but it lets me understand how everything is. Watch that in a second, because that one was like, oh, I get Count Dooku now. Like you've given me a reason to bisect off out of my normal range of watching to get some depth of information and then to come back. But even on that, they're like, nope, this is not exactly in the storyline. These are just things that have happened around and stuff like that. And it's like, do that for the rest of
yeah.
them.
They should like do a condensed, like 2 hour
Yes,
condensed of like
yes.
all
Look,
the important details.
this is one of the issues that I had with Power Rangers once and always. Yeah, it's one of the only things that I had. One of the main reasons I was not fully, but that's a discussion for another time. Even though we could have, because you need to still watch it. So, but like it's backgrounding. It needs backgrounding. It establishes stories, and I understand not doing it in Mandalorian and stuff like that. But some of these other elements, we need to have a condensed so that we can quickly sweep ourselves into what they're trying to make now, as they, like I
Especially,
said, retcon.
I think, especially for Ahsoka.
Yes,
Yes, Ahsoka's like in the Clone Wars and the other stuff. So it'd be nice if they like the Clone Wars animated movie. I wish they
yeah,
do something like that. So like especially for new fans, like
yeah.
couldn't be bothered to get
Go back.
into. Yeah, I mean that's how many seasons? 7 seasons of
It's
Clone
7
Wars.
seasons,
Yeah, and then another 2 seasons for Rebels,
and
and then
continuous seasons that Rebels is doing. It's not even done.
but no, I think Rebels is done, but Bad Batch is still going on.
Oh, right. Okay, okay, okay. But yeah, what you're basically talking about is this is the third season of Bad Batch, too.
Coming in third, I think.
Coming
I
in.
think they just started.
So think about
Uh,
that. That's 10 seasons. Clone Wars had what, 13 episodes per season? Maybe a little bit more. I think it was closer to 20. I think it was closer to 20 because
they had really long seasons.
they had really that was the normal length. So let's say you have 6 seasons of no, 5 seasons of Clone War at 20 episodes, which is already 100 episodes right there. Each one being 25 minutes apiece, and then add to that then season 6 and season 7. I think were like season 6 was like 10 episodes, and I think season 7 was like 8. So we're already pushing at 118 episodes at, let's say, arguably 30 minutes. Rebels
Yeah,
is 10 and is like 13 seasons, 13 episodes for 2 seasons, another 26 episodes right there at 30 minutes apiece, maybe some 45 minutes. And then you got Bad Batch, which is going to play in at some point in time, which is another 10 episodes for 3 seasons. I know they're in the middle of or entering into their third season. So it's like, bro, you're talking about already 11 seasons of more than 100 and something shows to be able to still pick up on what you're getting on the live action to then subsequently continue on into the movie storyline that they will eventually be bringing back.
and we're forgetting Star Wars Resistance, like those pilots, like another animated show that supposedly in the timeline order it's between the Book of Boba Fett and the Force Awakens.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so much that's going on within these elements that you just like. I'm already feeling overwhelmed at the thought.
Same,
you
same,
know,
same.
so it's just like they need to have something that condenses it or give people like the best that they need to see to be able to understand what entry. Yeah, it was 22 episodes per season for Clone Wars. Yeah, to understand exactly what was happening, so that whenever these new characters come in, they're backgrounded and set in properly.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard because like we get these new shows and they're like in between stuff like
Right, and
oh
setting up the timeline on it too.
yeah, like Obi-Wan and Andor are between the prequels and the original trilogy, and
Right.
then you get the book Mandalorian and the book of Boba Fett after the original trilogy, but
Yeah.
before the Force Awakens. It like if you're like a casual fan, like you just started enjoying these shows, you're gonna get confused. Like, what's going
Who's
on
where?
here?
What's going on in what space?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I thought this was happening there. It gets confusing. But that I guess that's just us.
I mean, it's part of the process. It's just it's exhausting. It's exhausting. There's so
Yeah,
much. It's exhausting to how much needs to be done. And I do wonder. I mean, I guess they already did it with the Clone Wars, but yeah, man, it's a lot. But that being said, like I said, I did still enjoy Mandalorian. I love the Moff Gideon storyline needs to be completed because I didn't really understand how they could take that further. I love the fact of understanding the best card, though I don't feel like it was really played up very well in the best car armor for the new stormtrooper shot troopers, but it
yeah,
didn't really get played into Force Awakens and moving forward. So it's like I'm interested to see how they figure out how to balance some of these things out. But I enjoyed season 3 of Mandalorian. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked seeing Grogu now get his own robot shell, and I can't wait to see him become the next Jedi Mandalorian, just like the first Mandalorian
like the
was.
first Vista with a dark saber.
Exactly. Exactly. So it makes it all work. Also, the fact that Dark Saber is no longer in existence, like they brought a lightsaber and they took it away just as quickly.
Yeah, I like how they take away stuff except for Paz Vizsla. I'm still thinking about Paz Vizsla.
Oh.
I really, really like that character. Yeah, He's hated in the animated series, but I like him in the live action.
I mean, that's how it goes. Like you got to hate them to love them to miss them, you know. And I'm glad that they finally also brought in those guards to actually show that they are actually worth something. Because definitely in the Force Awakens trilogy, it's like I don't get it. What's the big deal about these guys? They
The
don't do nothing.
Praetorians.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Victoria. What do they do? They just are red and they got different versions of lightsabers, which
yeah. It's
also is a
it's
little
like
confusing.
there there were Ray and Kylo were like really OP
Yeah,
in the movie, like Jedi's and Force wielders, and we didn't really get to appreciate like how tough these Praetorians are because they're like um, descended from the Royal Imperial Guards, which were really really badass.
yeah.
And like I was reading somewhere in the comics, Praetorian Guards and Royal Guards, they're some of the best fighters in the galaxy that they can go toe to toe with force wielders and
Yeah,
lightsaber wielders.
and they got just worked by Kylo and Ray.
Yeah.
So it was just
So
like,
like, what's up with that?
yeah, yeah. We need just time to be able to see them build up and just wreak havoc on everybody. Just like the Praetorian Guards need a scene like what Darth Vader had in Rogue One.
Yes.
So you can be like, okay, now we got power matching. Now we got power standardizing over here. Now let's see what it really is about. Might go watch those trailers, watch that clip again because now I just kind of want
Yeah.
to watch Praetorian Guards lose to Rey and Kylo, but see that scene and then the Darth Vader scene. Well, I watch that one a lot actually. I watch that one way too many
Oh,
times.
you know what? I'm I'm missing Din's sniper rifle. Like he doesn't carry it around anymore.
Wait, who's sniper rifle?
Din, Din, Mando.
Oh, Din John. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That disappeared a while, but I thought he lost that in a fight somewhere.
Yeah, but
You want it
I
back.
wonder why. Yeah, I want him to get a new Razor Crest. Ha! Just
Hey, look, I like
N1
Forest
Starfighter.
standard craft. I like the speed that he has with it.
Yeah, but he has a little kid. He needs a Razor Crest house. With his armory and shit. Damn
Man,
it.
nah, that's good.
Hasbro's milking fans for everything they've got.
Hey, it's what they do. This is what they do. We're gonna get that money. But all right, I'm gonna kill the recording. Okay.
So yeah, before we both agree that season 3 was great, not much complaints.
Yes, season 3 was really good. Yeah, I honestly I felt like it was establishing background, and I'm here about establishing background. So for whatever it's worth, that means something to me. So I enjoyed it significantly.
What I guess just one last thing. What I enjoy most about this season is the like seeming like it's teasing us that there's going to be a united Mandalore.
Yes,
And
I don't
it's
even
such
think that's a tease. I think that they were directly implying that's the direction they're going for.
yeah, and it's a great thing because it's like we were talking about earlier. It can't just be Jedi's and Sith forever. It's
Right.
this third faction that is really going to make things really, really good for the Star
Right.
Wars.
Right. You do need those growth. You need those other elements to be able to again fill into space. It creates depth, or otherwise it becomes very two-dimensional, one-dimensional to say the least. It's like, okay, what Sith? We know the Jedi are going to end up beating the Sith in whatever overall concept that we're going for, even if the Sith get some significant wins. But now we're working on depth, which is where the evolution of this stuff has to go, anyways.
Yeah, happy that Favreau and Filoni got like
Got their hands on it.
Yeah,
Nah, true story. True story.
but not so much Kathleen Kennedy. But
I mean, she still gets the credit because she's still the one that's in the head of position. She just doesn't deserve the credit because she definitely, screwed these things over.
yeah, and she's like screwing Pedro Pascal, like crediting him only as a voice actor.
I mean, hey man, look, as long as that man is still getting his money, I am A-okay with it. Get your money, Pedro, but I can understand. But you can't. It's hard. You can't have him showing his face as a Mandalorian, trying to stick to the Mandalorian code, and then having him on there. Like I feel like that was the catch when it comes. I'm glad that they showed his face in season 1 early on, so that at least it's like, yo, get your money. But I would have been like, if you showed it once per season, it would have been a little messed up, But as long as his body's inside that doing the work, hey man, go and do your thing, man. But he deserves to get paid like a leading man in that regard.
Yeah, deserves to get paid.
Let's remind our friends to please click on the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when we have new videos out.
Subscribe.
Subscribe!
Die. Oh, die.